Hello students, welcome to the questionnaire round of chemistry sessions. So I hope you all have revised the GOC very well. So I would like to discuss the questions related to the NEET pattern. So the questions in NEET pattern are comparatively simpler to what we have in advanced, IIT advanced as well as the mains. So it is quite related to what level we have in the CBSE board examination. So let us just start the question number 1. It seems to be a very big question, but the answer is very simple. So let's just have the question. The correct statement regarding a carbonyl compound. What is a carbonyl compound? Having C double bond O with a hydrogen atom on its alpha carbon. So I need to pick up the correct statement. What kind of a compound are they talking about? They are talking about a compound having a carbonyl carbon along with a carbon attached, which is again having the hydrogens. So let us just take an example here. I am taking up of ethanol. So here is the example. That is the alpha carbon that they are talking about. And these are the alpha hydrogens mentioned. So these are alpha hydrogens. So what do you need to have? Let's go on to the statements. A carbonyl compound with a hydrogen atom on its alpha carbon rapidly equilibrates with its corresponding enol, and this process is known as aldehyde ketone equilibration. So is it so? What kind of a rapidly equilibrates with its corresponding enol? What is the enol formation? So let us just first draw the enol form of this. So the enol would be the interaction with this hydrogen over here. So I hope you all are able to see that clearly. What do you have over here then? You have got an enol form. So that is how the enol form will look like. So is this process known as aldehyde ketone equilibration? Is it? Or a carbonyl compound with a hydrogen atom on its alpha carbon rapidly equilibrates with its corresponding enol, and the process is known as carbonylation. So they are actually asking about the name of the process that we have done over here. Now the process is, they are asking about, is it keto-enol tautomerism or a carbonyl compound with a hydrogen atom on its alpha carbon never equilibrates? That can be an option. So we all know that it will definitely be going to equilibrate, as we have seen over here. So we eliminate this very possibility. Let's move on to the rest of the 3. So in rest of the 3, we all know that what is tautomerism. So this process is nothing but the tautomerism. We eliminate thus the possibility of carbonylation as well as the aldehyde ketone equilibration. We do not call it by this name, but what? Keto-enol tautomerism. So that is the answer to the question number C. That is the third is the answer to this question. So this very process over here is nothing but the keto-enol tautomerism. So we have done this in the GOC sessions as well. So I hope you all have got the answer now. Let's move on to the next very question. This was very simple. Let's move on to another question. Indeed, more simpler than the previous one. So we'll be having quite interesting as well as simple questions in the NEET pattern exercise. So what about this question? The pair of electron in the given carbon ion, so I have given the carbon ion, is present in which orbitals? So I need to have the type of orbitals in which this carbon ion is actually occurring. So let us just draw the structure here. CH3C triple bond. So that is propyne carbon ion. So that is propyne carbanion. So if you see over here, we are very clear with the idea over here that where these electrons will be associated. Since this carbon is what? What is the hybridization of this carbon? That is sp hybridized. So we have got sp hybridized carbon. So these electrons will definitely be lying into the sp hybridized orbitals. So sp hybridized orbitals will be containing this negative charge. Why? Because if this would have been a structure like this, then how would I represent the orbitals over here? So I can have for this very carbon, both are sp2 hybridized. So let me just mark that out. Okay now. So this very carbon is sp. This is also sp. That means how can I draw the orbital diagram for these two carbons only I am talking about. So I have got a carbon here, sp looks like such, that is sp hybridized, and also I have got another carbon over here, that means something like this. That is the two carbons over here which I have represented, one carbon triply bonded with the another carbon, and I need to attach what? I need to attach the hydrogen. So that is how I am going to attach the hydrogen here. But wait, we are discussing about what? Propyne carbanion. That means I need to remove this hydrogen to make it a carbanion. So the hydrogen leave its electrons in where? This very hybridized orbital. So the electrons will be contained over here. So that is what is required in the question. And which option is correct? So let us just see over here. So the correct option is not sp3, not sp2, not even 2p. We are actually talking about the hybridized orbitals. So here the answer is C. So I hope that is very well clear to you. A pretty simple question. Now let's talk about the next question. What does the next question says? So here, what do I have? Which of the following is the most correct electron displacement for a nucleophilic reaction to take place? So it's pretty confusing as well. Why? Because they have given the different kinds of displacements which will be taking place in such reaction. So I need to have a proper idea about how the nucleophilic reaction actually occurs. So basically what is happening in the nucleophilic reaction, if I have got, let's just say, I consider this whole group as R. Rx I have got, X stands for nothing but this Cl. So if I have got a nucleophile, so what kind of a reaction will that be? It is nucleophilic substitution reaction. So that is nucleophilic substitution reaction. So we all have got an idea about it. Now how does the reaction takes place? So the reaction is somehow the nucleophile attacks here onto where? This is electronegative group, delta negative charge over it, and there is a delta positive onto it. So the nucleophile is definitely be going to attack on the Rx, and X then goes off. That is how the reaction is taking place, and we get RNU. So in all of these cases, I need to consider those cases in which the chlorine is going off like that. So out of all four, I have got two options here which can be considered. Now what do I need to do? I need to remove this group, that is definite, as I need to substitute the nucleophile over here in the place of chlorine. But what is actually present in the compound is, you can see very well, a double bond. So this double bond is going to play a role. What kind of a role? So there will be the formation of a cation. How a cation will be formed? First, this chlorine will go off. So first, let me just make this compound over here. So I hope you all are following up. Just try to draw it with me. Then we will perform the mechanism of it. CH, okay, CH2 and Cl. So that is how the reaction is. Now what happens? Let me just make these hydrogens properly in order to make you understand in a better way. So what do I have? H, H, H2. So that is how the compound is. It seems to be complicated, but it is not. So what is the first step? I need to remove the chlorine. As I remove the chlorine, I get what? I get a positive charge developed onto this carbon. So here is the compound formed. Now, in order to stabilize this positive ion, what comes up? The resonance will take place. So that is how the resonance is taking place. That means I have got two steps in my reaction. Where are the two steps given over here? The two steps are given on to the C option. The chlorine goes off, and in order to make that positive ion which will be formed over here stabilize, these electrons will move forward. So that is how there is resonance stabilization as well. I hope that is completely clear to you. We all eliminate all the possibility, all the rest of the possibilities that we have, and we have got, if we know the proper mechanism to it, if we know how the process is going on, we can have a properly correct answer. C is the answer over here. I hope you all have understood it well. Let's move on to the next very question. So what is the next question? So I hope you all have written this down. The next question here says, super easy question this is. How? You just need to count the total number of pi bonds. The total number of pi bond electrons in the following structure is. So how many are the total number of electrons here? You just need to count the pi bonds. Can you recognize the pi bonds? Super easy. That is a pi bond number 1. That is a pi bond number 2, number 3, and what else? Number 4. So just draw the diagram first of all, then go and mark it out. So we have marked 4 pi bonds, each containing 2 electrons. So that is how it's going to be. All in all, how many? 4 pi bonds into 2 electrons. That means total number of pi bond electrons. I do not need pi bonds. So do not go for option A. That is a confusing one. You have to go for the total number of pi bond electrons. So just read the question properly. I get 8 pi electrons in total. So I hope that was a pretty easy question. B is the answer for that. Now let's move on to another one. Another question says here. So I hope you all are following up. Let's move on to the next question. Now that is a typical question, but again very easy. Once you get the structures, you get the answer right. So here the correct order of decreasing acidic strength of trichloroacetic acid. It may seem confusing, but it's very simple. I need to have a trichloroacetic acid. I need to have first of all the decreasing strength. Just keep in mind you need to have a decreasing order for that. What do I have over here? Trifluoroacetic acid. Trifluoro means 3 fluorines attached. Trichloro means 3 chlorines attached. And again I have got acetic acid as well as one more thing is present here, that is the formic acid. So let us just draw the 4 structures, then we will get to know about the acidic strength. How do we judge the acidic strength over here? The one which gives off the proton very easily. So that is how we are going to judge, that is our approach. So first let us draw trichloro, acetic acid, which will be, I need to draw the acetic acid then instead of the methyl group that is present. So let us just have a structure first, then I will explain you what I am telling you. So that is the acetic acid. You need to have a trichloroacetic acid. That means instead of these 3 hydrogens, I need to attach 3 chlorines. So here, how do we attach the 3 chlorines? So let's just draw that. Instead of these 3 hydrogens, I am drawing 3 chlorines. So that is how we are going to draw. And what about the next structure? Let's move on to the next one. Trifluoro acetic acid. Again, the similar kind of a structure, but here I would be replacing the hydrogens with 3 fluorines. So the structure would be like this, 3F. So while drawing the structures, you may have got to know that what actually we are looking on to. We are looking on to the attached groups over here. These are the ones that need to be focused upon. And what next? The acetic acid we need to make. So the acetic acid is pretty simple. What else? I have got the formic acid at the last. That means HCOOH. So that is what we need. Now we have got the 4 options. We need to arrange the acidic strengths. So the hydrogen over here, which I am marking it out, if this goes off very easily, it would be a better acid. So out of the 4, which one is the better, we need to find out. So as you see over here, if we consider the withdrawing effect of these 2 groups, so chlorine is withdrawing as well as the fluorine, but the minus I effect of fluorine is always more than that of the chlorine. We all know this. That means these are all withdrawing groups. They will withdraw all the electrons, and this H hydrogen over here, it goes off easily. So H plus released most quickly over here in this case as compared to the chlorine. And over here, instead of having withdrawing groups, there is a plus I effect showing group, that means a donating instead. And over here, if you see, there is no donating nor withdrawing group present over here. That means what? This will be the least structure, because here the H plus will go off least quickly, or I can say most slowly, because here we have got a donating group present. So most slowly H plus released. So I hope you all are getting the idea what we are trying to do over here. Now the remaining is the formic acid. So here there is no minus I or plus I group attached, so we can have this hydrogen quickly. Now we need to arrange it. We have got it. This is B. B will be first, and followed by, I need to have a decreasing strength, decreasing acidic strength. That means starting from the most to the least. So I will be having B first. I will be having B first. We have got 2 options here. Then I will be having A. Now I distinguished my option and I got A as the right answer. But let's talk about D and C. I have got, this is C and this is D. Out of D and C, this is having more of plus I effect. That means this H plus will be the most slowly released, whereas in comparison with this. So I hope you all have got the idea and you are trying to following up. So here I have got the answer as A. So now let's move on to another question. We are through with half of the questions. So the next question says, so let me just rub that off first. Now I hope you all are able to see that clearly. Very important question, super easy. Which one is most reactive towards the E plus reagent? That means the electrophilic reagent. So I have got E plus attack. The electrophiles attack onto that area. Which kind of an area? Having higher electron density. Having high electron density. That means the structure having the most electron density will be our answer. So if I see over here, I have got a donating group, again a donating group, increasing the density, donating, donating. Now let's move on to all the 4 attachments that we have. We have to distinguish the 4 attachments. I have got OH, and we all know OH has got lone pairs. It will be involved in resonance. So that is how it will activate the ring, activate the benzene ring. What do I have in the next one? I have got CH2OH. Now there will not be any kind of involvement of these lone pairs. So no involvement over here. If I move on to this very question, this very option, here I have got NH, NHCO, CH3. Is it donating? Yes, slightly donating. These nitrogens will be having the lone pairs. It is somewhat donating over here, but these lone pairs will also be involved in the resonance which is taking place with the oxygen. So that is what the lone pairs are not completely involved over here. What about this very group? Again donating, but it will show plus I effect. And this plus I effect would be lesser than, or I can say there also be a possibility of plus R effect. But what is the scenario over here? The OCH3 group involved over here is actually less donating than what we have in the case of OH, which is completely activating the benzene ring. So I hope you all have got the answer over here, which is the most reactive towards electrophilic. The structure that is having the most electron density onto it will be attracting the E+, will be attracting the nucleus loving species towards it most. So I hope you all have got the answer right. So all of these options I have discussed with you. I hope you all have got the reasons for that. Let's move on to the next very question. So what is the question? Next, let me just rub that off. Now what do we have over here? Again I need to find out, yes, which one of the following compounds has the most acidic nature. So again, for the acidic nature, I need to check whether the H plus can go off easily or not. These H plus I am talking about. So now, if I take up this very option, can this H plus go off easily? So there is nothing which is attracting the electrons of this oxygen. There is nothing involved over here. These are simple cyclic rings, and there is no as such effect, withdrawing effect of these cyclic rings. Over here if you can see, there is what? The withdrawing effect of these electrons, and what we get is very stable phenoxide ion here in this case if I lose the H plus. So we have got stable, or I can say resonance stabilized phenoxide ion formed. So there is another approach while checking the acidic nature for a compound. First, let the H plus go off. Then what do you attain is an anion. We get an anion, and if that anion is very stable, in fact resonance stabilized, then there would be the possibility of losing that compound, losing the H plus very easily in order to have a stable resonance stabilized anion. So that is also an approach. So here we have got a resonance stabilized anion, that is the phenoxide ion, and here we do not get any kind of such resonance stabilization if I develop a negative charge over here. And if this H plus goes off, again this negative charge cannot be dispersed. If this H plus goes off, again this negative charge will not be dispersed within the ring, because there is no direct connection of this negative charge to be involved into the resonance, although it is an aromatic ring, but it cannot attract these electrons that much for the resonance stabilization. So here there would be no resonance stabilization. So I hope you all have got the idea here. So the answer would be definitely, which H plus will go off easily? This very group, that is the phenol. That is the answer over here. So let's go on to the next question. So the next question says, now pretty easy question, you need to just find out the hybridization of these very carbons involved. So we all know a carbon which is singly bonded, that is sp3, doubly bonded, that is sp2, triply bonded is sp. In most of the cases I am talking about, not all. So there are always exceptions. So this is what we need to have. So over here all the carbons are marked and you need to assign the state of hybridization. This is triply bonded carbon, sp, again a triply bonded carbon, sp. Here what do I have? Singly bonded from each and every side, that means sp3. Here a doubly bonded, it would be sp2. Again a doubly bonded, that means here is the double bond, sp2. What else? sp3, and finally sp3. So that is how we are going to assign the state of hybridizations within the carbons. So let's match the options here. Number 1 is sp, sp. So sp followed by sp. I need to have, okay, now sp followed by sp and then followed by sp3. Okay. They are asking about, once we read the question properly, the state of hybridization of, they are asking about C2, C2, C3, C5 and C6. That means only the 4 carbons, not all. So need not get confused over here. They have written only the 4 carbons over here in order to consume your time. First you will label all the carbons, then you will get to know that they have asked only for the 4 carbons. So always read the question properly. So here what do we have? We have got, for C2 I have got sp, yes, we have marked out 3 possibilities. For C3 we have got sp3. So where is the sp3 involved? Definitely here. And followed by C5, which is again sp2, confirmed, and followed by C6, which is sp3, that is also confirmed. The answer has been confirmed. It is option number A. So I hope you all have got the answer over here. Let us just move on to the next very question, the second last question of this lot. What do we have? Yes, in HS negative, slightly complicated question but super easy answer. HS negative, I negative are NH2 and NH3 order of proton accepting tendency. So all of these are anions which are present, or I can say the donors. So these are nothing but the nucleophiles which are given over here. So these are the nucleophiles which are given here in this case. And what we need to find out is which is accepting, which is going to accept the proton more easily. So I have got HS negative, I negative, RNH2 and NH3. So what will be the approach? So you may be having so many thoughts about it. So the thought process should be, first you need to check which is able to donate the electrons properly. So ability to donate electrons easily, that is the first approach. And what about the second one? Less electronegative atom will be able to donate more easily. So less electronegative I just need to check up here the electronegativity. That's it. That means if the atom is smaller in size, so I need to check up the size as well. If the atom is smaller, it will be holding on the electrons very easily. It has got the electrons then, and it can attract the H plus then. So that is how we are going to deal it with. Now we need to check up the electronegativity in order to attract the H plus. So that is what is going to be our approach. So out of all, who has got a tendency of donating the electrons more? The one which is smaller. So the smaller elements over here, that means smaller atoms, nitrogen as compared to iodine and HS negative. We have got two amines over here, one ammonia and one amine. They have got the lone pair of electrons. So these are easily available lone pair of electrons, first thing. Second is the electronegativity. So over here, since out of all, only the nitrogens are those which has got the more electronegativity, that means they are able to attract the H plus easily. Able to attract H plus easily. So that is what is going to be our approach. We get two options over here. Now out of the two, how do I eliminate one? So as you can see over here, there is R group again donating. So it will be increasing the electron density onto the nitrogen more as compared to the ammonia. So here more electron density due to plus I effect of R. So that is what is going to be our approach. That means I have got the option number 1. Second would be this, and out of the two, which has got a bigger size will be having the least possibility of attracting. Bigger size, that means least electronegativity. So that has the biggest size, it will be the least option, and that will be the first option, an option previous to that. So I hope you all have got the answer over here. Let us just mark out our answer final. So that would be RNH2, NH3, SH and I. C is the correct option. So I hope you all have got the approach, how we have approached here in this very question. Now, let's move on to the very last question. What do we have over here? So it's a pretty simple question. Again, which one of the following orders is correct regarding the minus I effect of the substituents? Seems to be so much of complications, but it is pretty easy. I have got 3 groups, I need to just arrange them in the order of minus I effect, which is attracting more. So what would be the approach? Just try to recall all the concepts. So I need to have the concept for minus I effect. First group is Nr2, the other is OR, and the other is, do not waste time on looking onto the options, but first try to write down what all groups we have given in the question. So here I have got Nr2 minus I effect. On the basis of what concept we are judging the minus I effect over here? I have got OR and F. So clearly you can see we have got all the 3 electronegative elements. So these are nothing but electronegative atoms over here. Now you just need to arrange the order of electronegativity and we will get the answer. So which is more electronegative? Fluorine is the most electronegative element of the entire periodic table. So I have got fluorine followed by oxygen followed by nitrogen. So that is what the electronegativity order is. And as per the question, we need to have a proper order of the substituents. So which would be the highest? So if you look on the questions and look on to the options, I have got different kinds of greater than, less than sign. So you need to be very careful while selecting the answer. Highest would be fluorine, that means greater than, and next would be oxygen definitely, and the last would be the nitrogen, which is the least possible electronegative element. So I hope you all have got the answer, that is the C. You may confirm with the other options as well. So I hope you all have cleared all your doubts with all of these questions. You need to apply some kind of a logic in order to get the question right, and also consider not one logic but different aspects while dealing with the questions of GOC. So I hope you all have enjoyed this session very much. I'll be seeing you in the next session having some more questions of the chapter. Till then, have a good day.